Welcome to Opinion Journal Live. I'm Dan Henninger. Mary Kissel is on vacation. Well, the whole world is watching now to see whether the United States carries out some action against Syria, as has been reported in the news all week long. Here to talk about that with me is the Wall Street Journal columnist Peggy Noonan. Welcome, Peggy.
Hi, Dan. Good to be here.
Good to have you here. Let's try to make it simple. Should the United States in some way act in Syria?
I have to tell you, all of my instincts and impulses are against, so far, the idea of going in there militarily. I think here's the problem for me, and I suspect for a lot of people. When a government like Syria's is in public in the YouTube era, gassing its own people, we are walking through a door into a dangerous place and a dark place. So that I fully concede, and as I've been surrounded the past week with people saying, let's not go in there, I understand what they're saying and I agree with them, while at the same time I have a real reservation about this moment we're in. But look, I see nothing to be gained from what we are hearing bandied about as potential U.S. Responses, including this foolishly put shot across the bow kind of stuff. I think the president himself is ambivalent. I think great nations cannot be led into wars ambivalently. I think, obviously, a military action of the sort being talked about is an act of war. So all of my impulses are to push away from that, while at the same time conceding something's got to be done about the weapons of mass destruction part.
Well, you know, Peggy, I think what you've just said speaks for a lot of people. The sense of ambivalence, the sense of discomfort. We've just come out of Iraq, Afghanistan. People want to step back a little bit. But that kind of raises the issue of leadership. Syria is a big event. Awful things are happening there. And all of us are absorbing this in the news and just trying to make what sense of it that we can. It's kind of a moment when you look to your national leadership for some direction. This is why they are in those positions. What are we supposed to think about this? And yet they really haven't been doing that. They themselves seem to have been almost bystanders to the event until we get to this point where it seemed as though the nation has to act. It almost seems to me it's a little bit late in the game for leadership to be stepping forward.
I think so. The president, it's odd we're talking about going to war with a nation that the president almost seems to avoid talking about and making his own, he avoids, I think, making his own case for action or inaction. I'm not impressed by the Republicans or the Democrats of Capitol Hill, who continue with their 5-week vacation, which other Americans would really like to have, and who are, it is clear to me, members of Congress are just waiting for something to happen, and then it will work, quote unquote, or not work, quote unquote, and then they will respond, you know, with what they think. The Brits are ahead of us here. At least in Parliament they are talking about it. Even the French. But I'm very impressed by the Brits, who just are inescapably British in their debates on the floor today, and their arguments, and I think that's a good thing. American politicians should be that responsible. It is shameful they're not there.
Well, you know, you mentioned YouTube, Peggy, and that suggests that events in Syria are now watched by everybody in the world in an unprecedented sort of way. Everyone absorbs these events and the dynamic behind them, the expectation that maybe the United States is going to do something about the fact that Assad is using chemical weapons against his own people. It raises the question of the implications of us not acting. In other words, it isn't just normal people watching, it's all of the bad actors and bad guys around the world, North Korea, say, China, Russia, who are waiting to see whether the United States is going to step in a situation like this, because if they're not, it allows them in other parts of the world to start stepping forward and causing trouble elsewhere.
Oh, I think bad guys will be bad guys in any case. My thought the past week has been, why is there not an international community that stands up and says, whoa, this is terrible? Why are we not damning the United Nations for not having enough people within it to shake their hands and say, humanity is going down a bad path here. We shouldn't be doing it. I don't think America is the only answer in these questions, but I am not happy to see the civilized world not come forward in concerted protest.
Yeah. A coalition of the willing, I think, is what we're looking for, Peggy. Thank you. Thank you very much.